Welcome to Charles Haugen Reviews. Today we are going to be looking at the top 10 Asian cinema films that you should drop everything and watch right now. This list is not going to be in any particular order, but I am saving the best for last. The only one that I believe the ranking is fit when it comes to how the list came out is number one. Number one is number one, and number one will always be number one. Fight me if you want to. But enough said, let's dive in. And starting off at number 10, we have the 1966 film Sword of Doom by Kihachi Okamoto. This film is kind of in that golden age era of samurai films that we saw from Akira Kurosawa and other directors. But this film, I felt, was a lot grittier. It was a lot more contemplative. It really goes into the guilt and the suffering that an individual who is a samurai who has committed all of these atrocities experiences, and how that all comes back around on him in the end. It's about karma. It is about full circle facing your actions and what ends up happening when your sins finally catch up with you. The combat is amazing. It's on par with Akira Kurosawa, in my opinion, and it also has some beautiful cinematography, a character that you cannot help but hate as your lead, which back in the day, back in 1966, we didn't get a lot of anti-heroes like that. So it was very, very cool to see that in a film that is from that time period. And it has an infamous ending, which I won't go into here if you haven't seen it, but I definitely recommend seeing it. There is a Criterion Blu-ray that is available, and I think it is a fantastic film. And coming in at number 9 for my recommendations, we have Ran by Akira Kurosawa. This is an adaptation of the classic William Shakespeare story, King Lear. This is about a father who has conquered all of these lands in ancient Japan, and he decides through a series of experiences that it is time for him to basically retire. He has 3 sons, and each one of the sons end up having different feelings about his retirement, and there ends up being a battle between the 3 sons to basically claim the land and the power that their father had gained throughout his life. The emperor, if you want to call him that, or lord, he is kind of a character that is easy to hate, honestly. You kind of get these trickles throughout the film of these awful things that he's done. You get to see his impact on characters that are not main characters. You get to see what his actions did to the villages and the people around him, especially the ones that ended up becoming prisoners of war in a way. This movie is pretty brutal. It's got some really good action in it. It is probably the most beautiful film that Akira Kurosawa ever did. It is stunning. The color palette is unlike anything I have ever seen before. I am not a big Shakespeare guy, but this movie is worth watching. It is beautiful, and I cannot emphasize that enough. It has some of the best cinematography ever put on film, and for something that came out in 1985, it doesn't look it, at least to me. And fun fact, Ishiro Honda, the creator of Godzilla, or co-creator of Godzilla, he was actually a second unit director on this movie. So kudos to him as well, because he probably helped in bringing this vision to life. I highly recommend this. So far, it is my favorite Kurosawa film, but that is likely to change, as with the recent Criterion sale, I purchased quite a bit of Kurosawa, so we will see. I still need to watch Ikiru. I hear that that's a great one, and if Ikiru ends up being something that I like more, it would definitely take the place on this list. But what is an Asian cinema highlight list without some Kurosawa? And this is my pick. Next up, at number 8, we have, from 2008, directed by Na Hong-jin, The Chaser. This film is actually a recent watch for me, and this is one of 3 directors that are going to appear on this list twice each, and it just so happens that all 3 of those directors are Korean. South Korean cinema, I've said this before, it is the best of the best of the best of the best of the best. There's nothing that quite comes close to it. Yeah, so, Chaser. let's get into it. The Chaser is a film about a detective, or ex-detective, who has basically become a pimp. He has started his own prostitution business. He's no longer a police officer. And some of his women start going missing. And it becomes apparent that there may be a serial killer involved. So the ex-detective, now pimp, ends up finding a girl who is a daughter of one of his prostitutes, and he ends up going on a journey trying to find the mother and keeping this young girl with him at his side. And it develops into this kind of father-son or father-daughter relationship. And he kind of comes around as a character. At the beginning, he's very remorseless. He doesn't really care about what happens to these women. But through his relationship with this girl, he changes. And the investigation into the potential serial killer turns some very interesting corners. This is a great cat and mouse game. It is tragic, and it has a very depressing ending, like most South Korean films, but it is definitely worth the watch, and I could not recommend it more. In 2010, Kim Ji-woon came out with a new film called I Saw the Devil. And I remember that I had heard about it, and I was kind of hesitant. I'm not big into gore porn, and I had heard that this movie was crazy and brutal, and I kind of stayed away from it for a couple years. But then I saw that Min Sik Choi was in it, who is the lead in Old Boy, and I had to watch it. And not to mention that this director is going to be mentioned again on this list, and you will see why he was kind of a director that, given the actor in the movie, I was like, yeah, I got to see it. I have to see it. Great director. Now I know it's got a great lead, or kind of lead. So I watched it. This is a fascinating revenge movie. It's very different than Park Chan-wook's Vengeance trilogy or a lot of Korean revenge thrillers. This is a very different take on it. This is a more active approach to achieving revenge. So we follow a detective, and his wife gets stranded on the road, and she ends up getting killed and other things by a serial killer. And basically the detective goes on a one-man mission to make this serial killer's life a living hell. He doesn't kill him because he thinks that torturing him would be worse. And basically he does all kinds of things where he can track this guy and know where he is at all locations at any time. And any time that the killer is about to do something that's bad, the detective shows up and just beats the shit out of him and does all kinds of stuff. It's crazy. Like this movie is bonkers. It feels like a Takashi Miike movie. It feels like it belongs in that same realm as Ichi the Killer at times, just with how insane it can get. But it's still grounded in reality, unlike Takashi Miike's films. So this is definitely one I recommend, especially if you like Min Sik Choi, especially if you like that revenge feeling that we get in a lot of these great Korean films, that feeling of getting back, getting justice. This is a good film, and I could not recommend it enough. It's a hard watch, so just know that going in, but it is definitely worth it if you can make it through. And Kim Ji-woon strikes again with another banger film. In 2003, he came out with A Tale of Two Sisters, potentially one of, if not the most influential ghost film to come out in the 21st century. This film has been imitated across all mediums. We're talking Germany, we're talking United States, we're talking so many different places, or not Germany, but Austria, United States, so many different places have tried to imitate this movie and the themes, and especially the ending of this film. And for whatever reason, they can't seem to come close. There are some truly scary moments in this film. There are some truly horrifying jump scares, and there are some truly horrifying dream sequences, if you want to call it that. This is an all-timer. This is an all-timer haunted house ghost movie. If you have not seen A Tale of Two Sisters, go into it blind. Do not look up reviews that spoil it. This is a film that deserves more recognition. I constantly tell people about this movie, and when they watch it, they're like, did this copy so-and-so, or did it copy so-and-so? But no, they copied A Tale of Two Sisters. Like, it's the other way around. This is the original with this kind of plot element. So go see it. Could not recommend it enough. It is an all-time great. One of the best haunted house ghost movies ever made. Yes, 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 yes. And next up, we have The Handmaiden from 2016 by Park Chan-wook. My favorite director, right alongside Denis Villeneuve. Park Chan-wook is a genius, and this film just kind of cemented it for me that he is one of, if not the best living directors in the world. The Handmaiden is his most beautiful film. It is his most cinematic film. This is a sprawling, epic romance. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous telling of the inner workings of the soul and the goal of achieving freedom and breaking free from imprisonment. This is one of the greatest love stories ever told, in my opinion. I absolutely love this movie. It has possibly the greatest score of the 21st century. The music is just amazing. Yeah, I could not even begin to describe how emotionally impactful this film is and how it makes me feel things that I don't feel day in and day out. Like I told my wife when we watched it together, I said I felt more emotions watching The Handmaiden than I have in like the past year, just generally. Like, this is an extravagant, beautiful period piece. It's one of the greatest movies I've ever seen. 10 out of 10 for me, by all means. So if you haven't seen The Handmaiden, go see it. But fair warning, this is a movie that delves into some erotic scenes and natures. There are some very X-rated things in this film. I don't think that it might have an R rating, but I would be shocked, to be honest. This is more of in the NC-17 realm. There is no shyness when it comes to Park Chan-wook showing things. So definitely just know that before seeing it, that it is very graphic. But if you can let yourself kind of dive into this emotional story about finding freedom, then I think that you will have a great time and you'll be an emotional wreck by the end. Definitely go see it. Na Hong-jin strikes again. And this time we are looking at a film called The Wailing. The Wailing is such a great horror film. I cannot even begin to express how utterly devastating this film is. It has everything you could ever ask for in regards to horror. It has hauntings, it has possessions, it has exorcisms, it has even almost like a zombie take to it as well. I mean, it's got everything. It's an emotional family drama. It's got great humor in it. I mean, there's everything here. You even have your deeper layers of like the thematic meanings behind what's happening in the film and what the director's trying to convey. Most specifically, xenophobia. Xenophobia is a huge thematic element of this movie, and basically that fear of the outsider, that fear of the new person in town who doesn't look like the rest of us. This is one of the best studies and examinations of xenophobia I have ever seen. And it is such an emotionally devastating, and I'm going to keep using that word because I don't know anything better to describe it, devastating, devastating film. If you are ready to just feel like you watch Requiem for a Dream 6 times in a row, go see this movie. Amazing performances all around. Some of the trivia in it regarding the behind the scenes is very fascinating. Definitely look that up too if you were into learning more about the making of the film, if you enjoyed it at the end of it. It's got some all-star performances. There's one scene in particular in a cave that is just so haunting, and yeah, I don't even know what to say at this point. If you haven't seen The Wailing from 2016, go see it. Go buy it. right now. There's a Blu-ray of it. And a 4K. There's a 4K. 4K is usually pretty cheap, so it's like $15. Definitely see it on 4K if you can. Just be prepared that you are going to be a wreck after this. And in 2004, we had a little Thai film come out called Shudder. It got an American remake, which was ghastly, but the original Shudder is an all-timer as well. I mean, this is up there with The Tale of Two Sisters. And if you have not seen the American remake, it's even better. Go see this one now. Watch it as soon as possible. There was just a 4K that was released, I believe, by Umbrella. Definitely get that. This movie is another one that is actually pretty upsetting. And it's kind of a trend on this list, right? But that's just kind of the best movies that come out of Asian cinema. Just feel like a lot of times they're very sad, unless we're talking about animated cinema, which even Miyazaki at times can be extremely sad as well. Nevertheless, this was directed by Bonjong Pasanthanakul. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'm having to read it. And Park Poom Wangpoom. So this movie follows a man who is a photographer, and basically he starts noticing in his Polaroids that there is this figure in the backgrounds of these pictures. And he goes on this investigation with his friends after they start dying one by one. And he thinks it's all connected to this entity that's appearing in his photos. This movie is so scary, honestly. It has some of the best, scares, I think, earned scares, not just jump scares, but earned scares that just make you kind of sit back in your seat like, oh my God. This is a fascinating film. It's also a pretty good study into some of the culture in Thailand as well. There's specifically a scene with a funeral that I found pretty interesting, and just kind of some of the societal norms here, and especially something that happens at the end. It relates directly to a myth that I've heard from people in Thailand before. So very interesting, and it's got a great ending. I mean, super memorable. This ending will blow you away if you haven't seen it before. Definitely see this first if you have not seen the American remake. The American remake is ghastly, as is the case with all of these films. But yes, Shudder, could not recommend more. Definitely see it. In 1997, Kiyoshi Kurosawa gave us our number 2 on this list, and that is Cure. Cure is, I'm trying to think of how to even describe this movie and do it justice. This film is so experimental in so many ways, and it manages to take something experimental and make it not just engaging, but instantaneously memorable. This film plays with your mind so much. I mean, I imagine that people like Nolan were heavily inspired by Cure when it comes to their disoriented or disjointed way of telling a narrative, because Cure definitely feels like that. It feels like you don't know what's real and what's not. If you haven't seen it, I don't want to go too far into the plot. I don't want to give any tips as to what the theme of the direction is, but basically this movie is about a investigation into a series of murders. But there's something interesting. These murders are all committed by different people, and each one of the murders is committed in the same way. So it's almost like a calling mark for a serial killer, but it's different people doing each one. And then when they interview these people and interrogate them, they don't have any recollection or any memory of ever doing this. So what is the connection? Why are they doing the exact same thing, and why do none of them remember? Definitely buy this movie. This also just recently had a 4K release. It's fascinating, a true work of cinematic art. 10 out of 10 for me, any time of the day, any time of the week, any time of the year. If you haven't seen Cure, go see it. Thankfully, this is one that has not been remade. All right, and next up we have the one, the only, 2003's Old Boy by Park Chan-wook. This is probably my favorite film of all time. The only one that even comes close is Prisoners by Denis Villeneuve, but I think that Old Boy at times, probably a majority of times, takes that crown. This, in my opinion, is one of the most influential films of the 21st century. It honestly put South Korean cinema on the map. It was a cultural phenomenon in some parts of the world. It also has techniques in the filming that have been imitated over and over again, but never replicated, even to this day. There are recent releases that have tried and failed to replicate the magic that Park Chan-wook does in a specific scene of this film. So, basic synopsis. Oh Dae-soo is a overweight drunkard who the movie starts off and he is basically in jail for flirting or cheating with another man's wife. And he's got a daughter. It's his daughter's birthday. He got her something for her birthday. And his friend comes to bail him out of prison or out of jail. And then he goes to the phone booth, turns around. Oh Dae-soo is gone. The next thing that we see is that Oh Dae-soo is imprisoned in this small little room. And he is stuck inside this room. The TV is his only access to the outside world. And he basically sits there and rots while he is able to see that his wife is murdered and that he is framed. And he's kept in there for, I believe, if I remember correctly, 15 years. And the significance of the 15 years is that if for 15 years a crime goes unconvicted in South Korea, to my understanding, the crime is basically expunged and it doesn't exist anymore. And the person, if they were caught 15 years after the fact, cannot be tried. So that is why they keep him there, so that he will not be convicted of any crimes when he gets out, which he does. So he ends up waking up inside of a suitcase. He's in a suit with money and a cell phone, and basically he has to go on this mission to find out why he was imprisoned, who imprisoned him, and it is a journey through the wrongs that he has committed throughout his life. Old Boy is the pinnacle of revenge thrillers. This is what I think of when I think of revenge thrillers, of how a revenge thriller is perfectly executed, how a plot can be so engaging and never let you lose focus on the matters at hand. This film has some of the greatest performances ever on screen. It has one of the best scores ever put in a film, and it has one of the most insane endings that you will ever see. I definitely recommend seeing this and not looking up any reviews if you don't know about the film. And I also recommend, I demand, don't watch the 2013 remake with Josh Brolin and Elizabeth Olsen. Please, 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 please don't do that. And if that was your first experience with this film, I apologize in advance on behalf of Spike Lee and everybody else who was involved. That movie is an abomination, and I don't even acknowledge it. Nothing will ever compare to the sheer force and power and emotional gravitas that the original Old Boy has. So that is my all-time best film from Asian cinema. I would love to hear your thoughts on if you've seen Old Boy and what you think of it, or any of the other films on this list. Whew, I'm glad that that's finally over. Jesus, man. That was really tough figuring out what films to include on this list. What the heck?
I believe you're forgetting someone. It would be a shame to see the gods if you were to neglect such a legend as Bong Joon.
I know. If I don't include Bong Joon-ho in this list, I would probably incite a riot. So we have to include him here, and I'm going to go with his 2003 film, Memories of Murder. Memories of Murder is based on a true series of murders that happened in South Korea, and it's about detectives investigating and trying to track down this serial killer. This film has really great performances in it, and it is honestly Bong Joon-ho's best film overall, but especially when it comes to his cinematography, his dialogue, and the score in the film. Pretty much everything about this, especially the ending shot that we get. There are so many meanings layered into that ending shot. There's so much to talk about, so much to interpret, so much to see in that final shot of the film. It is definitely a masterclass when it comes to kind of neo-noir detective investigation stories. This is a great film, difficult to watch at times, especially considering that it is based in reality and that these things really did happen. But it is a fascinating study of an investigation and the passion that goes into trying to capture somebody as evil as a serial killer. It reminds me a lot of what David Fincher ended up doing with Zodiac. I definitely draw some parallels between the two when it comes to the narrative structure and some of the choices that are made throughout the film and how they depict the investigation itself. This is a very good film, and it is the one Bong Joon-ho film that I think deserves kind of that GOAT status when people talk about directors. I said in my director's ranked video that Bong Joon-ho is not necessarily a director I think deserves the best South Korean director title. I think that there are plenty more that have made better films than him, but I cannot deny that Memories of Murder is better than most of those other directors' films. Like, Memories of Murder is that one-off in his filmography that I feel is timeless and will be rewatched and considered a classic 100 years from now. Definitely see this film, especially if you're into investigative true crime. This is a film you cannot pass up. And with all that being said, this is my list of the top Asian cinema films that you should drop everything right now and watch. I hope you enjoyed this. If you want to see a list with more obscure Asian cinema films, let me know. I'm mostly versed in South Korean cinema and Japanese cinema. Obviously, there's a little bit of Thai in there as well. There are other films from other Asian countries. If you would like me to make a list of those, please let me know. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all soon.